Fayette County School Corporation Board of School Trustees business meeting to order. We're in the administration building. It is Tuesday, March 9th, 2021, and it is 6:30 p.m. Before we start the Pledge of Allegiance, or say the Pledge of Allegiance, I want to welcome our new board member, Jeremy Williams, sworn in tonight. We're thrilled to have him here for his first meeting. So let's all stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we're going to begin with a presentation by the Career Center.
No, we're going to start with
Oh no, we're starting with a recognition. You didn't jump up, so I got lost. We're starting with a recognition of some very important people in the audience tonight.
Quentin, would you stand up here? You stand at the podium if you like. We won't ask you to sing or dance. But I would like to first, for the board and for our public watching, Quentin Jones. And Quentin is one of our divers at CHS and has had a really great career as a senior now, as a state qualifier 3 different years. And he started diving, so, I want to find out little whys and things like that, so he helped us out with some info, but he started diving because of his sister. And so, kudos, and Quentin started diving 9 years ago. So in those 9 years, because of his hard work, he's been recognized as an 8-time national qualifier in club meets. In high school, he's been all-conference 3 times, as well as a 3-time state qualifier. Recently, he represented CHS at the state diving finals at the IUPUI Auditorium, where he finished 25th in the state. Quentin is also the Eastern Indiana Athletic Conference 2021 diving champion. In the future, Quentin plans to attend Ball State, majoring in psychology. He hopes to be a walk-on member of the Ball State diving team as well. And then after college, he hopes to work in the fields of developmental and behavioral psychology, which we need great people in those fields. But I also want to say his academic performance is stellar. Top student, outstanding student at Turnsville High School. That's the most important thing. While the accolades are great with athletics, you're there for a great education too. And so I just want to publicly acknowledge your success, not only as an athlete, but as a student. And just let our board and our public know how much we respect and appreciate you and your dedication to your sport and also to your academics as a representative of Fayette County Schools. So congratulations. On behalf of the, you're not done. On behalf of the school board and myself, I want to present this certificate to you. Do you want to recognize who's here with you, if you don't mind?
So right here, this is my sister. This is the person that got me into diving.
Awesome.
This is Abby. And that is my mom. That's Jackie.
Quentin, I watched you dive, and I don't know. I
don't know how moms do that.
You get used to it.
So, thank you, Quentin. Second, Evan Schaefer. Evan, come on up. Evan has been a 3-sport athlete at CHS, participating in football, wrestling, and track and field. No other comments there from Coach Perkins. During the 2021 school year, Evan was selected as all-conference for football. In wrestling, Evan won the Eastern Indiana Athletic Conference heavyweight title and went undefeated throughout the regular season and throughout the state tournament until the final rounds. At the state finals, Evan finished 4th place in the state and finished his senior season with a record of 30-92, and all 39 of his wins were by pins. Evan was also awarded the Ward E. Brown Mental Attitude Award at the state finals, which is a really great honor as well. Currently, Evan is gearing up for the spring track and field season, where he plans to run hurdles and throw the discus. At least that's what we think.
This was like yesterday.
Okay, he may have changed his mind. That was your story. On top of his athletic success, Evan has been nominated for the IHSA Student Advisory Committee, and he's been a 10-year member of 4-H. Additionally, he volunteers in the community at food drives and nursing homes, and he helps coach kindergarten and first grade flag football. Evan will attend Hillsdale College in the fall where he's been recruited to play football. He plans to major in biology and after graduation enter medical school to become a surgeon. And again, another outstanding academic student, student athlete. So like Quentin, both of these two young men are outstanding students in the classroom as well as on the competition pool or field or mat. So would you like to introduce who's here with you and share anything if you'd like?
Obviously, I got my mom here. Thank you, Mom, for everything that you do for me. And I got my dad here, which he does more than anybody will ever know. But do you want to know something? It's something that I find very funny. She played volleyball in high school and played basketball. He played soccer and baseball. I don't know where I came. I'm just a weird child.
Well, you're 6'5" and 250 pounds.
Yeah, I'm the biggest person that's come out of either family. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but I must say congratulations to you two others. Now, I'd like to get a picture of you two, if you don't mind. Cindy, would you grab a picture of these two? Just standing here. If your family would like to join you. Would you like a chair to stand on?
See, that's wrong.
Anybody else want to get a picture? You're fine, too.
You know what, they were at Orange
Do you want to
together.
stand up?
Yeah, they were at Orange
Yeah,
together.
we're at Orange together.
Yeah, they were, they're Orange
cool.
buddies.
When Evan was much shorter.
Hey, we get to fill out that scholarship they added, so.
Well, thank you both guys for your excellence in the classroom, and you may go if you want, or you can stay.
Oh, wait, a couple of words.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You know, all over social media, you guys were all over social media, everywhere. People were responding that don't know you, just like I don't know you. And we're so proud. You have no idea how this community has felt to have two young people go so far. You have given Connorsville something to be proud of, and we're so grateful to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, parents.
Any other comments? I'm sorry, I was.
Great job, guys.
Where Evan is going to college, I had the privilege of writing him a letter of recommendation. I'm so glad they took my advice, but this is such a prestigious school.
Yes, it is.
John Roberts, who only happens to be Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, went there. And on the other end of the spectrum, Pat Sajak, who's not done too well with Wheel of Fortune in all those years. So for them to recruit him, I'm sure he'll be successful at whatever he wishes to do, but that is just so prestigious. And for somebody from Connorsville, Indiana, to get that kind of academic recognition and athletic recognition from such a prestigious school is just really cool. And thank you for allowing me to write your recommendation. It
And
made
I'm a
me
Ball
feel
State
good.
alum, so.
Me and Dennis get to have fun this year now. Oh, yeah.
All right. And I will text Coach House here in just a little bit.
I know, I'm going to see what she says, and she'll let me know.
I'll send it to you.
Am I allowed to have fun?
Of course, thanks.
I love this job.
Bye, job, Hey, and you're our neighbor, so maybe we share grandpas.
Oh my, please don't tell me that.
We think it might have happened.
That's not a happy thing.
Thank you all. All right, now.
Okay,
I have to
now,
follow Mrs.
Now.
Duncan, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. We'll praise you the same way.
Well, I can tell you one thing, I'm far less accomplished than most of you, so, I'm gonna take this off now, so.
And you're missing your daughter's ball game tonight.
She's not playing tonight.
She's not playing tonight, she's playing tomorrow?
Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay.
A year ago at this time, I think I kind of kicked off the crazy week. This was the week we went haywire with this pandemic, and it's been challenging. We introduced our criminal justice program at that time, didn't have a teacher, didn't have anything other than a plan. Still working on curriculum, stealing things from other career centers around the state. It was a wild time for sure. Through all that, in a wild semester, we hired Jason Cloyd to lead our criminal justice program. All of you are familiar with Jason. I'm sure Dennis and Chris are fired up. We're talking about some law enforcement stuff here. Jason is a 21-year veteran of the Fayette County Sheriff's Department. Jason, probably 20 years or close to 20 years as an SRO and working here on campus, correct? Which is awesome. What a lot of people didn't know about Jason Cloyd was his aspiration as a young person was to be a teacher. He got close to becoming a teacher, changed his major, got out of college, went into law enforcement. And he was definitely a fit for a candidate. We were able to get some good enrollment. He's done some wonderful things with those students. And I'm going to let Jason talk about his program, and then I'll fill you all in on our open house that's coming up. Jason Cloyd.
Thank you. All right, like Steve said, my name is Jason Cloyd. I'm going to take this. And I'm actually 23 years in the Sheriff's Department. 2 is in the jail. We'll get to the benefits of that here in a second. Graduated from Huntington University in 1995. I'm blessed to be able to get this position. Okay? Like Steve said, I wanted to be a teacher younger. Got to school and they kind of changed my mind because they said I would never get a job. So I pass it on to the kids to make sure they, stick to what you want to do. Don't let nobody change your mind. And if that's what you want to do it. So we'll get into it. We're a 2-year program. We have 5 different courses. The courses vary. We just got through Survey of Criminal Justice, which is basically an introduction to criminal justice. We are basically in basic police operations. Getting ready to start the police operations part of it, which hopefully we can start doing a little bit more hands-on stuff. Got to give the kids the benefit of the doubt there that they've been great. I think they've really planned on having a little bit more hands-on stuff, but with everything going on and starting new, we haven't quite got there yet, but we're close, and the kids have been great. Obviously, there's a lot of book work with college courses. We're dual credit through Vincennes. And then we also offer, and they completed at the end of the first semester, they completed the Indiana Law Enforcement Jail Officer School. We have 42 kids in the course, 32 of them passed the test. They had to have 75 out of 100. So when they are 18, they can go apply to jail and become a correctional officer right out of school. And most of the Connersville Police Department and the Fayette County Sheriff's Department used to work in the jail, come from the jail. It's a great experience. Not everybody wants to go to college. These courses, we have a wide variety and range of students. We have some that want to be attorneys, some that want to be police officers, some that we have one that wants to be an investigative journalist. A wide range. We have some that are going to go to college and some that aren't, and that's great. Like I said, we have...
Oh, Jason, you said some want to be attorneys?
Yes, we have several that want...
You will cut them from the class. Sorry.
I get it. Anyway,
Thanks, Chris.
as you can see, we have 5 courses up there, 15 credit hours. So we are going to do police administration and organization with ethics and professionalism the first semester of their second year. So, as you know, ethics and professionalism have become a hot topic, as it should. Okay, some of the partners that we have. We have the Fayette County Sheriff's Department, the Connersville Police Department, a few guys from the Indiana State Police, a couple conservation officers, and I don't know if anybody remembers Bill Brown, who was a conservation officer here in Fayette County for years. He is now a teacher at Vincennes University. So that kind of helps out a lot, ties in the conservation with us, and he's helped me a lot with all the Vincennes stuff, as has our staff, so I'll thank them here in a second. Can't thank them enough. Fayette County Probation, Fayette County Prosecutor, Betty Jones has been great. Fayette County Dispatch, EMS is going to come in and do some first aid stuff. And then Reed Hospital Police Department, which is new. Okay? And Dennis has offered to help, so we appreciate it. The more people we can get in there, the better. Okay, the students, honestly, sometimes I think they get tired of hearing from me. So it's good for them to hear from somebody else and their experiences, and their point of views. Like I said, we have 42 students enrolled. We have a waiting list.
That's awesome.
Like I said, we've had 32 of them been approved for the jail certification. And then also Vincennes has provided us with It's Virtua Simulator. The company's Virtua. It's out of Arizona. They have provided us $44,000 grant to, well, they've already purchased it. It's coming. It's already here. The training is next Tuesday and Wednesday. It was supposed to be the week we had all the snow. So I didn't want the guy from Arizona coming and staying in Indianapolis. So I canceled it. I thought that was a safe move.
What does it do, Jason? What's the simulator do?
It gives you all kinds of scenarios, okay? We can work on de-escalation,
Okay.
that's big right now. And it's also, there is some firearms involved in it, but they're all, anytime you guys want to come and see it, you can, okay? They're blue, they're colored blue, and, you know, hopefully we're gonna do the de-escalation so they don't have to use that. So, a lot of times people don't understand what it's like until they're actually put into a situation like that, how quick it happens.
So is it, they're viewing something?
Yes, it's gonna be on a screen.
Okay.
It's a simulator. If you'd like to come and look at it, you guys are more than welcome.
After it's set up, maybe
We'll get it set up and,
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Would it be similar to
See who's a
something like
better,
a flight simulator for a pilot training?
it's very simulator, but yeah, this is just for police officers. You know, I think there's 260 different scenarios.
Wow.
And they actually can, the people in the simulator that you are interacting with can actually shoot at you. I mean, it simulates,
Wow.
police officers can come in and train on this in the winter months when they can't get outside, and they can actually meet training requirements for their departments and things like that. So it's actually a tool of the industry.
So other agencies here.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
The sheriff's department, the police department, I've talked to Chief Bolos, Dennis, okay, Joey. They're gonna be involved with that. Right now, we're gonna start with those three and see where it goes, okay? So,
Jason, one thing I like about that simulator program we've been through, that we found that probably close to 70% of civilians that go through it will shoot somebody before a police officer would.
right.
So it's great experience for them to put in scenarios that we go through. And
Yep.
they
To
tend
understand.
be trigger happy.
Yeah, how quick it happens.
Yeah.
And then recently, we just got a $3,500 grant from the Fayette County Foundation for equipment. We're gonna start purchasing some of that so we can start doing some more hands-on stuff, some crime scene equipment, some handcuffs, some duty belts, just things like that. That we can use some mats, some striking mats, so they can learn some defensive tactics. I will probably reach out. Contrary to popular belief, I'm not an expert on all of it, so I will find somebody who is, okay? I will reach out to, you know, the defensive tactics instructors, you know, the firearms instructors locally, and eventually I would like to incorporate the other sheriff's departments and counties, because, you know, we have 6 schools involved, and all 6 schools are extremely important. They're all having the same problem, hiring jail officers, so they're gonna be involved in our training as well, because those kids could be going at 18 and working right into their jail. I know Sheriff Laughlin is not the only one that's having problems keeping jail officers. It's everywhere. So we're extremely grateful for the grant from the Fayette County Foundation. And most importantly, I want to thank everybody at the Career Center. I work with a lot of really good people at the Sheriff's Department. I never thought I would leave there, okay? Honestly, I don't miss the job, I miss the people, okay? But I couldn't have come to a better place. So I want to thank everybody for all the help that they've given me, and this course is going to continue to get better and better and better each year, so.
Great. It's really exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. The kids are, and it's all about the kids. You know, they're helping this year kind of set the tone for the course.
Yeah.
And helping me develop it as we go. So they're kind of hands-on in that area, and, you know, it's all about them right now.
Jason, how many females do you have?
Oh,
Which is important.
it is important. Around 15,
This is not bad.
and that's kind of a guess.
Mm-hmm. That's
Offhand.
not a bad ratio. That's-
Yeah.
That's
Especially
above
for the
average.
first class coming in.
Yeah. That's above
Yeah.
average.
Yeah.
Jason, how many kids are actually from Connersville and how many are from the other sending schools?
We have 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning now from Connersville. They switched a little bit.
Okay.
And then 10 in the afternoon from Connersville.
Okay. So it's pretty well spaced out then?
Yes, it
As
is.
far as distributing across all the participating schools?
Yeah. I have one kid from Centerville. He just became an MP. He starts his training in June. I have another girl from Franklin County. She just got accepted to Thomas More, and she's studying criminal justice. So,
That's great.
yeah, it's,
So you have some seniors now?
yes, I have some
So
seniors.
they won't get the benefit
They won't
of
get,
that.
they won't get
Yeah.
the full benefit, no.
Yeah.
But
So about how
That's
many,
great.
just, I don't want to put you on the spot.
Oh, no, you're fine.
How many kids will return approximately next year? How many seniors do you have? Do you have it off the top of your head?
No, I don't have that off the top of my
I
head.
think you get a lot of
I-
seniors in the group or not.
I've had most of them say they're coming back. I know I have a girl from Frank County who said she wasn't because she's graduating, the only reason is she's graduating at semester.
Oh.
But she is going to she wants to go work in the jail. And I have told them, working in the jail, they do hire part-time. So if they go to school, they can go to that local jail and get a job while they're in school, to get them through school. So,
Wow.
And I know being on the Community Corrections Board here in Fayette County, it's tough sometimes finding the jail officers. I didn't realize the challenge that was at times.
it is, it's an extreme challenge.
High quality people for that.
It is.
It's a tough job.
And it's a good, very, very good starting point though.
Yeah.
It is.
Had good times working.
Where you see the worst.
Yes, yeah, you learn in the jail whether or not it's
Right.
meant to be. If it's for you.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
it's good proving ground.
Yeah. Anything else for Jason?
Just thank you for putting
Thank you.
together this
Good job.
program. It
Thanks,
looks
Steve.
fabulous. And something that's been needed for so long, and obviously you're exactly the right person to do it, so.
Well, thank
I
you.
do have one other question. Is there other programs like this in the state, or are we the only one?
Yes, there's one in, what is that, down in Versailles.
Southeastern Career Center for Sales. Hardland has it. Area 31, which is Ben Davis. J. Everett Light, which is North Central. Walker Career Center, which is Warren Township. C9, which would be the south side of Indy. C4 in Columbus. So there's a lot of programs around the state.
I don't know if you remember Tony Stoll, the conservation officer. He was in this area. He's the teacher down in Versailles. So he's helped me a lot as well.
And is there plans to help some of these students when they do graduate, the juniors now, for next year, to get these positions, even outside of the local area, if they choose?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. The second year, I would like to, when all this gets passed, is have a job shadowing program. For like the last month, they'll go out and job shadow, and that's why I want to get, like that way the Rushville kids don't have to come over here, they can stay in Rushville. Go to the Rush County Sheriff's Department, or the Rushville Police Department, or the jail, or the court over there, so.
And I could see the law enforcement offices coming too for your job recruiting fairs, and if they have job fairs at the career center, that would be another group of.
Obviously, contact's close. It has been difficult with COVID.
Yeah.
So that's really put a damper on those outside partnerships. One, they're trying to minimize their footprint on who they're around. Two, we're trying to keep people out of our buildings from being around our students. So it's been a miracle we've accomplished what we have with rescinding school schedules we've faced this year. It's been tough.
And I can't say enough about the kids. They've been great and patient on all that. They seem to be enjoying it. They're involved, so that's what matters.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. And love to hear what you're doing. Thanks a lot.
To close real quick, I know you guys, he's way more exciting to listen to right now than I am, for sure. Randy, don't try to trip me. I'm gonna go ahead here. What you see next is our vision for the future. Sonny, will this play?
It won't, but I have it up if you'd like
Okay,
it.
yeah. Where's it at?
You wanna pull it up? I can play it.
Okay. So these are our sizzle reels. Don't play it quite yet, Sonny. We use these. Recruiting's been a challenge. Our enrollment bumped about 65 kids this year. And obviously, COVID's not been easy. And the best way to sell a career center is to put kids in a career center and let them see it. So what we've done is developed what we call sizzle reels about each one of our programs. Our teachers have also developed 2 to 3 minute information videos where students can view it. We do it for all of our programs. We've had a virtual open house, and we'll look at the sizzle reel here real quick, and I'll finish up at the open house here in just a second.
I'm ahead of the game. Logic
thing about where we work, or I should say where Sonny and myself and Mr. Cloyd work, is we pretty much can do anything in-house, and that was made by our graphic design program. So those are the types of things. So we had a company contact us about outsourcing that. They wanted $15,000 to $20,000 to do their virtual recruiting, and we did it for nothing, and it's better than what they could have gave us. So that worked out well, and I have nothing to do with that. That's just a lot of good people. So we are having an in-person open house on St. Patrick's Day on the 17th. It's an hour and 15-minute window.
When is it?
It would be a week from tomorrow on the 17th.
Okay.
There's the slide.
Yeah, there's the slide, Sonny moved to it. We've sent mailers. We will bring in 3 schools. I know that's kind of hard to see for me as well.
So is it 2 different times?
I think don't hold me to this, I think it's 5:30 to 6:45. There will be a 15-minute break, and then we will go from 7 to 8:15. I think it's Centerville, Lincoln, and Rushville in the first time slot, and then we will do Connersville, Franklin County, and Union County in the second time slot. We have more people in our building on a daily basis than will be there at that time, but there will be a lot of students that show up that want to see what they're going into. I think Sonny said enrollment from CHS that she saw today. Keep in mind, it's like in its infancy between snow days, testing, hybrid schedules. I mean, counselors are so far behind injustifiably. It's been tough for them. But I think she said we're heavy right now criminal justice enrollment, which is exciting, and that's just Connersville. So we're seeing some of those things. But I encourage you to all stop by. I can't promise lavish gifts. Culinary's probably,
How about food?
I think Culinary's doing some little just kind of like pre-packaged, no fun type things, not like we normally have, but with any luck, COVID will be gone sooner than later.
Next week.
And we can, yes, that's right, that's right. The irony of that comment is last year at this exact meeting, Randy and I sat in that wall and we debated what our schedule was going to be after that Friday, which was the 13th. And that's a true story because that was the week that Avon did all their things. So it's kind of ironic. It seems like we're going the other way this year and moving towards better times, which is great.
Yeah.
So, but any questions?
I do have a request, that once that simulator is up and working, we'd like to take a field trip and see a face-off with these two on a couple of scenarios.
I have a sneaking suspicion there will be a congregation after school multiple days by multiple people. And I don't think people will be running out the door to get home. I think there'll be a lot of fun had with that. One thing, the weirdest question I probably ever asked Mr. Collins was, hey, what do you feel about us putting a body farm in on the campus? And I'm being serious.
Okay.
We want to put a body farm by the woods, fence it in, make sure animals can't get in so we can watch decomposition of possibly cadaver pigs so they can study the forensics, the biological breakdowns, and the aspects like that. That's part of the program.
But when you first said body farm, I was thinking down in Tennessee, the body farm achieved by the FBI,
We're talking a body pin,
We're not.
like 15 by 15.
They just bury old teachers out there.
Mark, are you interested?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, Chris.
And I didn't get to ask Jason, are you having to increase liability when I see the courts, particularly with law enforcement, are we looking at firearms, when you're talking about defensive tactics, sometimes that can get a little, when you're talking about students, has that been an issue? Probably shouldn't have brought it up.
No,
There's hesitation.
I
They
just,
don't have to use it.
yeah, I
Really?
mean,
Okay.
They don't
yeah,
have to use
there's
it.
an opt-out in anything we do with these students. And let's be honest, if you don't want to weld, you're probably not going to last in welding. And, I think some people, there's a shock to this program. I mean, obviously, there's gore that goes along with the criminal
Absolutely.
justice field. And I think that's something that kids are prepared for that want to be there. And I think it's some aha moments for kids who are a little bit on the fence. But it's kind of like being a teacher. The best thing that ever happened to me was going into an elementary classroom thinking, I want to be an elementary teacher. Went in there for about 6 weeks and said, there's no way in the world I'm going to be an elementary teacher. Okay? What'd you say? Okay. But honestly, exposure. And it's the same thing with CNA. You would not believe the stories that we got back from some of our CNA students the last 2 weeks because they've just started getting out. But if you can't handle that, how are you going to handle being a nurse?
Right.
So it's about that exposure and getting them in the right place. And, also the way you deliver that information, the way you prepare people for what they're going to see helps a lot as opposed to just a shock and awe moments.
real life experiences and hands-on, which is,
I think it's great timing for this class.
Yeah.
Oh, it really is.
It hasn't been a hard year for Jason to find a lot of stuff to talk about.
No, and our motto is treat others as you want to be treated. That's the class motto. So,
So, I'm sure everyone's here, tired of hearing me talk, so I will move on so we can move on with the meeting.
any questions for Steve about the Career Center or anything with Steve or Sonia?
Thank you so much.
Good, guys.
Thank you, that's
Great.
exciting.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh, wow, that was great. Okay. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the agenda as submitted and amended.
I so move.
Thank you, Ann.
I will second that.
Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Patron comments on agenda items, seeing none, or none? Okay. We will move on to the consent agenda, which includes approval of the minutes from the executive session of 2/9/21, the regular business meeting of 2/9/21, and the executive session of 2/22/21. Personnel reports, including retirements, resignation, leaves of absences, etc. The approval of the February 2021 claims, number 58512 through 58720. Donations. A donation of $4,925 from the Dana Riemann CHS Academic Endowment to CHS to be used by teachers for equipment, supplies, and materials. A donation of $1,750 from the National Theater for Children Incorporated to CMS to be used to purchase science materials and related science supplies. So I'd like to seek a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Dennis. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now move on to the action items, personnel reports, Mr. Harris.
Have a relatively short personnel report this evening, but I would recommend the following. Classified staff, a special education assistant, Patricia Coram. For a Title I education assistant, recommend Shauna Toso. And an extracurricular, recommend Brian Flanagan as assistant football coach.
All right, thank you. I'd like to seek a motion to approve the personnel report.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mark. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ann. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Permission to advertise for proposal for school food service management. Randy.
This is one of those that every 5 years, we are required to go out for a request for proposal for our food service management, and this is the year that it's time to do it. It's one of those, you do it, go out for proposal, and then you can request a 1 year and keep going on from there. But we've ran to the end of that cycle, and so I'm have a proposal there that I'm requesting permission to let me get on my right page, but requesting permission to move forward with a request for proposals for food service management. I will just tell you publicly, I've been very happy with Chartwell's and our manager, Rachel Bryan's back here behind me a little bit. But we've got everything in place. We've been given a kind of the approval, the go-ahead from the state to proceed with this, but I need to come to the board, and it's one of those that we will go forward with a request for proposal. Then we will set up a committee to look at all of those and bring back to the board to make a recommendation on who we would like to go for. So that's what I'm seeking.
Randy, do we have any sense, and I've been through this before when we did Chartwell's, do you have any sense of how many options we might be presented with at this time?
I know that I've had one company has contacted me, Aramark, and they've contacted saying, what's the status, and can you send us information? So, you know, whether they end up putting in a proposal, I don't know or not, but they've at least expressed some interest. Chartwell's obviously is very interested, and who else there might be, I don't know until we get back all the information.
We could have 2 or 3 companies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
we anticipate between 2 and 4, but
Okay.
you never know until they.
I was on
come
that
back.
committee before, and I think we had three the last time, so, okay. Just curious on that.
All right, I'd like to seek a motion for permission to advertise for proposal for the food service management.
I so move.
Thank you, Ann. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Lori. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You're back on, Randy, for the permission.
Not for long.
Just safety window coverings.
I'm only up here briefly, but the reason why I'm up here is I'm seeking permission from the board. This is one of those that we're looking to do some window coverings. And because of the dollar amount of this, that's why I seek prior approval from the school board. But before we do anything else, Trent Liggett, who is the school district in charge of our school safety, he's going to make a short presentation to really give you a little bit more idea of what it is. So you don't have to listen to me much longer. Mr. Liggett, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. And I owe you, Mr. Collins, an apology here. He originally asked me to speak tonight, and I misunderstood him. I thought he said 45 minutes, but it's 4 to 5 minutes, so I have my notes here, so if I go over, just let me know, I appreciate it.
You see heads nodding off.
In our safety committee meetings, we hold approximately every other month. We come up with ideas, and those ideas have no rhyme or reason to them. But last year we proposed or looked at a type of security film, which the handout's being passed out there. It's not bulletproof, it's shatter resistant, meaning you can shoot a bullet through it, but to physically get through that window, it takes time. And I have a short video here in a few minutes. I'm going to show you what that looks like. But in relation to getting the money to fund this project, and there's basically two parts of the project. The shatter resistant film, which is a one-way film you can see out but you can't see in. And then the second part is bulletproof glass to be placed in our elementary schools and Little Spartan preschool in the front office area where the secretary is, which is the first person to come in contact with the public. But the shatter resistant one-way film, we received a $100,000 safety grant through the state this summer. Trish Fields was basically the go-to person on that. I give her all the credit to that. And we received a notice this year that we received $100,000 to be funded into safety initiatives. We would like to put approximately $48,000 or so into the shatter-resistant one-way film, and then the remaining approximately $52,000 into the bulletproof windows. The bulletproof glass will be placed at all Fayette County elementary schools and Little Spartan preschool. The video I want to show you is of the shatter-resistant film, which I mentioned earlier you can see out, but you can't see in. So if we could get that link up and we'll look at that. This is from Henry County Public Schools in Virginia. The superintendent, Dr. Jared Cotton, speaks briefly about his safety initiative.
There have been more than 300 school shootings. This has made heightened security a key priority for educators, parents, and government officials. Henry County, Virginia is a school district that has placed an intense focus on school safety.
I never want us to be reactionary. I want us to be proactive, and our students and staff deserve to be in a safe building each and every day. And with all the things going on today, students are very concerned. Staff members are very concerned.
People are trying to watch the news. They're getting nervous about what's going on. They're looking into what they can do to not absolutely prevent something that's going to happen, but they want to slow somebody down. They want to make it harder to get in. They want to be a harder target. Easiest point of entry is usually glass. Putting a safety and security film on the back of them makes them a whole lot more resilient, and offering not only a safety and security film, but putting something all around the outside as an attachment gives it the integrity of the frame, and gives it a little bit more time.
Let's demonstrate the difference between unprotected glass and glass with Lumar safety and security film applied. First, unprotected tempered glass. consumer safety and security film applied.
Would be worn out at that point.
Now, this film we currently have at the high school at the new entrance of the field house. We put that in earlier.
Is that have color on it?
It does.
Yeah.
Actually, there's two parts to this. One is the shadow-resistant film, which is clear, and the other one is just some type of graphics you put on the other side. So basically, they had to take those windows out, put the safety film in first, and then put the graphics on the outside. So we could go on with this video, but basically what that's telling us, a bullet will not stop the shatterproof film won't stop a bullet, but as you can see, it gives us time. And time saves lives, no matter what the situation. In this situation, we played the video maybe 3 minutes there or so, but this goes on for another maybe minute or so before it gets through. So that's the first initiative, that's the first part of it. Now we can look at other safety grants on down the line and fund other entities within the school buildings, or come up with different ideas, but this is the first initiative for that $100,000. The second one, the bulletproof glass, uses a UL level 3 bullet resistant transaction windows with sliding doors and a deal tray. When I say a deal tray, you can put papers under the tray. And the glass weighs about 5 pounds per square foot and can resist, and the police officers can attest to this, resist a 9mm gunshot, a .357 Magnum gunshot, and a .44 Magnum gunshot with a velocity of 1350 feet per second. Now, what that tells me is the glass, last year they brought the glass into the middle school when I was there and showed us the glass, what it looks like. It's very thick. And the bullet doesn't go through, but goes in the glass and kind of expands in there. It's kind of hard for me to explain that without showing you that. But it's something that I'm leery of, that those people, staff members that are there in the first line of communication with whoever, you know, if someone was disgruntled, comes in the building with a handgun, that would be a hot spot. These windows allow for increased security while maintaining an open and inviting presence. And there may be some cosmetic changes, though, at two of the elementaries, Frazee and Fayette Central, because they have a doorway there, which we will replace that with some type of bulletproof window. But I just want to kind of go through this kind of a general synopsis of the two initiatives. And like I said, this all comes from a $100,000 safety grant, which Trish Fields was very important in relation to writing. So, any questions?
And I want to commend Trent too for his leadership on this committee. He takes it very seriously. And the team that meets, you know, we have some really good discussions with law enforcement. We have a very diverse group there, but the approval tonight is just for this safety film. And if you looked at the Spartan Fieldhouse, all of our schools are getting to design their designs that sort of tie into their mascots and things on those windows. So our graphics, again, the Career Center, the teacher there's been working on helping with designs on that. So this part is just the approval of that safety film tonight, and then we're still working on some final pricings on the bulletproof glass. So that'll probably be next month.
And I shared with Cindy, maybe she sent you the link of some of the pictures of the schools in relation to what the Career Center has already done, so you have an idea of what it will look like. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to making motions. I'd like to seek a motion for permission to purchase the safety window coverings.
I'll make it.
Thank you, Dennis. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Chris. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, on to high school course adoption, Mr.
Good evening. Recently, the curriculum planning committee met, that down there just so I don't drop it, and looked at a review of Connersville High School's recommendation for a course addition for next year. And they are asking for your approval tonight to add to the schedule at CHS the class called Principles to Agriculture. This is a class that is very similar to the current class that we're already teaching, which is Introduction to Agriculture. The state is putting in some pathways. As I know a lot of times when we talk about the Career Center and our early college high school, we talk about kids completing pathways and certificates. They are doing some new alignment of the agricultural pathways, and in doing so, they are changing a little bit of the course requirements. And one course requirement that will be changing is instead of teaching Intro to Ag at the high school level, they are now going to require all kids to take Principles to Ag. Now, currently, we have 2 certificate programs through Ag, landscaping, and then we also have animal science. But the new pathways that are being projected to hopefully be offered to our students in the next couple of years will all require this Principles to Ag. So we're trying to align our curriculum so that our kids starting next year are ahead of the game. And if they choose to take advantage of these pathways as juniors and seniors, they won't have to go back and add this intro class. So we're just making some adjustments. It's very similar, so we're not even going to have to change our textbooks. We're just changing the course code and then kind of re-looking at some of our resources and how we deliver those resources. But we just want to make sure that we're preparing those kids for the opportunity to participate in those pathways when they are available. Actually, we have, I think, 4 of the 5 level 2 courses already in place, but the actual cornerstone or the pathway courses haven't even been developed yet by the state, but they're working on it. So we're just trying to get out in front of it, just to give our kids opportunities to get all of the pathways and certifications that they can get. So tonight I'm asking for the curriculum planning committee for your approval for the course edition of Principles to Agriculture, which is a 2-semester course that will be funded through CTE funds for the fall of 2021.
All right, great, thank you. You're welcome. Okay, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the high school course adoption.
I so move.
Thank you, Ann. Second?
I second.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Before we go on, pertinent to what Mark brought up, I don't remember when, I saw on the state level they're getting ready to approve a civics as part of the high school curriculum. Middle school civics class or something.
Long overdue.
Yeah. We had just talked about that, so
Yeah.
anyway.
And Mr. Todd's already discussing that as far as where is the appropriate grade level for that, whether it be 7th or 8th grade. So we are already having discussion with that, planning for that eventuality, which I think is
I think it's
long
great.
needed. I agree.
And I love how getting ahead of the curve, that's a
Trying
great,
to be proactive.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, approval of the revised 2021-2022 school calendar, Mr. Collins.
All right. We're going to get this done this time and be in good shape. So I first want to thank our calendar committee. It was representative of teachers, administrators, parents, board members, myself, support staff. So we tried to capture a wide variety of folks to come in and meet and look at some options. So I did provide some calendar options just to give us a starting point based on what you had already approved back on March 10th and 20th. So one of the things that came up with this was the fair set its board date after this had already been approved. And some things that we've learned through this, which I think has been really helpful, is that when the fair has traditionally looked at their date of starting, it's the last Saturday of July, which we had never heard that. So that gives us some good information going forward to know that the fair will start that last Saturday of July. That's good for us. So we took that into account when we looked at the revisions for the next school year calendar. and then for the following year, which we're presenting to you as well. So if you would, let's look at the revised 2021-22 calendar. That's just hard to say. It's hard to believe we're there. So one of the challenges facing us is in our original board-approved calendar, we had teachers returning on August 2nd and 3rd. And then the students would return on August 4th, which was Wednesday. With the fair going on that week, we wanted to stay away from that with our students. So a compromise that we found in the committee was, let's go ahead and do our teacher days, our teacher work days. They had 2 days before school. We'll do those on that Thursday and Friday. And then our students will return on the 9th of August, which is Monday. And there was some good discussion about a full week, especially from our primary grade teacher representatives. Is that going to be hard for our kindergartners? But I think as we plan for that, and we'll build some stamina, but hopefully a lot of these kids will have gone through kindergarten roundup, and many of these children will have gone through preschool as well. So the committee agreed on that. Some other changes just to highlight, I won't go through the whole piece, but October 13th will be our professional day for the fall for teachers, and conference day, so that falls on a Wednesday. That correlates to the end of our first grading period to give teachers time to figure grades, complete report cards. As what has been established for the last few years, we will keep the standard of October 25th through the 29th for fall break. The last full week of October will be fall break. That was something that the board approved years ago. And then we had some discussion about keeping November, because when we move the start date 3 days later, it impacts us with ending that first semester, which becomes a high school issue primarily with trying to wrap up that first semester before the winter holiday break. So the consensus of the committee was they wanted to keep that Wednesday before Thanksgiving as a no school day. So that's presented here as having that 3 days off for Thanksgiving. So what we did get into was when that semester ends right before the Christmas holiday break. So we will go to school until the 22nd of December, which is Wednesday. And then Thursday, Friday would be no student days or staff days. And then we would return midweek after New Year's on the 5th on Wednesday. So it's almost a 2-week break still, but I think it was a fair compromise that accomplishes our goal for that first semester.
And keeps our balance.
And it keeps the balance, pretty balanced, yeah, it does a nice job. That was another focus. We can't get too out of balance with our semester terms, with how many days. Good point, Mark. January 17th will be no student day for Martin Luther King Day. And that will be a teacher professional day. That's typical, a lot of districts do with that. So that will be a no student day. February 21st will be our first snow makeup day. So I would tell you, I'm a big proponent of building in at least a couple of these days. We had 3 originally, we did cut one off, but we will have 2 built-in snow makeup days. It has really been a challenge trying to find ways for our support staff and bus drivers to make up lost time with all these e-learning days. And I don't know if everyone realizes that impact sometimes, but it hurts when they miss days because they're e-learning. Our teachers can work from home, but that's not really the case for our other support staff. So the compromise here is we build in 2 snow makeup days. So the first would be February 21st, and then our second snow makeup day would be April 18th, which is the Monday after Easter. So if we don't need those days, then we would have a 4-day holiday break over the Easter weekend. We'd have Good Friday off on the 15th. So I think that's something nice if we can have a nice winter next year and the following year. Spring break would be the last full week, which would be March 21st to the 25th. And then our last student day would be May 25th, which is a Wednesday, and our last teacher day would be the 26th, which is Thursday. Graduation would be June 5th, and any days after the 2 days missed that are made up would be e-learning days. So that is the 21-22 calendar. Any questions on that? A few changes for what the board approved earlier, but I think there were some good changes and some good feedback on this.
I think one thing that people will ask about, why not just put the snow days, e-learning days at the end of the year? But I know Steve made a good point at the calendar meeting. we have those kids actually in school when we have snow days, instead of just throwing it on the computer system, the e-learning system. And I think most of the teachers that were at the committee thought that was a good idea.
And it's tough if you try to add on snow days at the end of the year in May, right around Memorial Day.
Because kids have basically.
Kids are done.
They've checked out, yeah.
So anyway, so the first one I would like to present to you is the 2021-22 calendar for your consideration and approval, and then we'll go over the 22-23 calendar draft.
Okay, I'd like to seek a motion for the revised 2021-2022 school calendar. Say that 10 times and you get to make the motion.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Chris. There a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And we'll move on to the next calendar year.
Okay, this calendar, because of the way the last Saturday of July falls on the 30th in 2022, it really mirrors the calendar that you just approved. So I'm going to briefly highlight some things here. We will have teachers return August 4th and 5th, and then the students return on August 8th. Again, we have that end of the first grading period, professional day, conference day on the 12th of October. Fall break falls on the last full week of October, the 24th through the 28th. We continue to maintain that 3-day Thanksgiving break. And if you look at the two calendars, we end our semesters on identical days of the week, which is unique. So we were able to, we had some really good discussion, I think, in looking at the days and how that would fall. And so this was a consensus the committee came to. So winter break would start on the 21st of December, which is Wednesday. And then students and staff would return on January 4th. So it's the same length of break there. Again, the 16th would be MLK Day, no students, staff professional day. Something to keep in mind, teachers have 5 days beyond the student, 180 days. So we have those days built in throughout the year for the public and for you all to know as an FYI. Then we would have 2 built-in snow days again. So President's Day, the 20th of February, would be snow makeup day number 1. And then again, the Monday after Easter holiday would be snow makeup day number 2, April 10th. Our last full week of March would be spring break, the 27th through the 31st. And students end the school year on Wednesday, May 24th. The teachers finish on May 25th. And any days beyond the 2 scheduled makeup days would be e-learning. And graduation would be June 4th. So that's the calendar draft for 2 years from now. So I'd like to present that to you for your consideration and approval.
Okay, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the 2022-2023 school calendar.
I so move.
Thank you, Ann. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Lori. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now, we have a presentation by Kelly Cole.
Just lots of information. Great. Before we start, I'd like to thank Scott and Leslie for participating in our Head Start Federal Review last week, as well as Randy and Tina Smith for the fiscal, and Terry had all of our technology needs met. So we had an intense week with federal reviewers virtually, but we got through. So part of Head Start is an orientation, and that's before we start with the budget approval. I'm required through the performance standards to orient you on the history of Head Start and your role as the elected governing body. In addition to the school board, I also have a policy council, which is made up of parent representatives, and they have just as much responsibility as our elected board in driving our program needs. So Head Start is a federal program initiated in the 60s as part of President Johnson's War on Poverty and operated under a federal grant. The school corporation has held this Head Start grant for over 25 years. It's a big part of that early learning for Fayette County. Your duties as the local governing board is to ensure compliance with our federal laws and regulations. That's why I come talk to you and get your approval on certain things. Understanding the philosophy and the role of parents in the policy council. Anne is our liaison, so she is at those policy council meetings as that representative. Being fiscally and legally accountable for overseeing and administering the program. Ensuring that internal controls are in place to safeguard our federal funding. and reviewing and approving all major agency policies, including self-assessment, financial audits, and the Head Start grant process, and carrying out our grant provisions. Head Start is governed by the policies and procedures of Fayette County Schools and the Head Start performance standards. This shared governance between Fayette County Schools and Head Start's Policy Council provides the program's framework, including the assignment of all program responsibilities and the development and review of our policies and procedures. Specifically, the Head Start Policy Council must be consulted and approve our planning procedures and our general administration of the program. So locally, we serve 134 students in our Head Start program. We are funded for that. If you remember last year, I asked for that enrollment reduction so we could have our full-day classrooms. We were able to get that approved, but also keep our same funding amount. We have 6 Head Start classrooms. 3 of them are full day, the other 3 are dual sessions, and they are all at Little Spartans Preschool. That was our big change last year. So first item that I'm asking for your approval on is our budget for our next grant cycle. We have applied for a total of $1,260,890. And that's the total amount. That includes our program operation amount and our training and technical assistance amount. And then after that's approved, I'll walk you through how we are spending that money and what our program goal said. So seeking your approval on our Head Start budget for the 21-22 school year.
Okay. I'd like to seek a motion to approve the Head Start budget.
I so move.
Thank you, Ann. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
So next item are our program goals. You received this big packet with these color-coded. I'm not going to read this word for word to you, but I will point out some of the highlights. This guides our program year. So our leadership team, Policy Council, we meet weekly or monthly, and we make sure that we are collecting data for all of these goals, and that's what we present when we write our grant. We are currently in year 3 of a 5-year grant cycle. COVID did impact the progress of our year last year. As you know, we can't meet every goal when we're not in attendance. We did meet our full-day request from our last year's grant, so we were able to maintain those 3 full-day rooms that we requested, and we have been open all year and up and running, and we're seeing a huge impact in child outcomes. The full-day rooms, the children attend 5 days a week from 8 to 3. Half-day rooms are still 4 days a week, 3 hours a session. So we're over doubling the time that our full-day kids are in Head Start. Those children are those kindergarten transitioning children, so I'm anxious to see that data next year when they get on to kindergarten. We're going to continue to give nutrition and educational opportunities to families. We're doing that virtually and remotely as much as we can this year, but we're hoping we can be back in person next year. Our program goals have led us to the need to increase our mental health services and professional development for staff on trauma-informed care, some of the needs that we're seeing. Some of our celebrations, we have a very highly qualified staff. All of our teachers have either bachelor's or master's in their field, which is rare in the Head Start world. Head Start doesn't require teachers to have bachelor's or master's, they can have associates, but since we are part of the school corporation, that's one of the standards we meet, and we're happy to do that. We have a family service coordinator that earned her bachelor's this year in early childhood, so she's actively looking for a teaching position. We have another ed assistant who is currently student teaching and will be finished in May with another bachelor's in early childhood education. We had an educational assistant complete her CDA, which is a child development certification. And we have another who has enrolled. So we're supporting our staff as they further their education as well. So approval to, we're seeking your approval to our program goals.
Kelly, do you get extra points? I don't know how to word it from Head Start because our teachers are.
It was highlighted in our review. It was one of those service areas that we had to talk to the reviewers about our teacher qualifications. So it was noted that they were highly qualified, and all they did was look at transcripts and got to skip the questions on that part. So it benefited us during that.
Right.
We also see the progress in the children with our highly qualified educators.
Okay, I'd like to seek a motion to approve the Head Start program goals.
I so move.
Thank you, Ann.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to the Head Start self-assessment.
So self-assessment is the largest part that drives our grant writing cycle. We have all different stakeholders meet and discuss different program areas in different committees, and we pull the data that we gather throughout the year to talk about the different areas such as our enrollment process, the income verification process. Children have to qualify for Head Start based off of their income. Mental health, family partnerships, community partnerships, transportation, disabilities, nutrition, safety, governance, facilities and equipment, human resources, and fiscal management. So all of those areas, we have committees that meet starting in December, January, February, and we talk about the strengths and the needs of the program, how it relates to our program goals, and that's how we determine where we're going to budget our money. So as I mentioned, our strengths were our highly qualified staff, our school corporation as the grantee, the technology within the program that we've been able to provide for students and staff, the ongoing monitoring that we have with our data. That's a huge piece with Head Start that we report out monthly. And then our community support and partnerships. Head Start wouldn't be possible without the support of our community members. And then the needs that we identified with our Head Start was more behavioral, professional development for teachers with that trauma-informed care. We're seeing children come in with more significant behaviors. The data from their outcomes is showing that need developmentally. And then also retaining certain positions within our program. The nutrition bus assistant position has a high turnover. So our resources are going to be going into the mental health and like a recruitment type piece next year. So any questions about self-assessment? Seeking approval on our self-assessment.
Okay, I'd like to seek that motion.
I so move.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Dennis. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And then the last piece of the grant writing process is the community assessment. And this is updated annually. When the 5-year grant cycle ends, we do a larger cumulative community assessment, but this short one that you saw just is kind of what's happened in the last year in Fayette County. Besides COVID impacting everything, our community had some at-risk things going on before. We were in poverty before COVID. We had high unemployment before COVID. COVID did impact unemployment. We're currently at a 6.8% unemployment rate, but in April of 2020, Fayette County was 25.2% unemployment. So we saw that trend with the way COVID was impacting our community. Our health ranking, we are 91 out of 92 in the state. I want to say we could celebrate a little bit because we were 92 last year, so we're slowly moving up. Food security still is a huge impact in our community. 19.6% of our population does not have access to a large grocery store. 17.5% of our population are children in poverty, and those are the children we serve and target in Head Start. COVID impacted quality child care centers in the community. We used to have 5 licensed paths to quality child care before COVID. Now we have 1. I'll say that we did get a lot of children in our program because the child care centers were not able to reopen. One thing that we are celebrating in our community is that we opened the Early Learning Center during a pandemic, so our resources paid off. Transportation seems to be an issue still within our community. Public transportation, parents not having transportation to their jobs, or maybe one vehicle per family, and the working parent is using that vehicle. So we do provide transportation to all of our Head Start children, and we were able to purchase the 2 buses this year based off of that. And then all the data from our community assessment supports keeping our 3 full-day classrooms and our 3 half-day classrooms. Seeking approval for our community assessment.
Okay, I'd like to seek that motion.
I'll move that.
Thank you, Ann. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And then the last piece were the policies that I've asked to be approved. Anything new is highlighted in yellow, just new verbiage that we added based off of the performance standards and feedback from our conversations from our non-compliance. So we just used the words from the performance standards to make sure it was current on the policies that Head Start has in place. And these hadn't been updated since I think 2014, so it was a good time to look at those and make sure they were in compliance with the new performance standards.
Great. Okay, I'd like to seek that motion too for the approval of the Head Start policy.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mark. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. All right, moving on. Board resolution opposing education savings account and voucher expansion. Mr. Collins.
That's you if you wanted to share.
Oh, yeah, even though I have your name on it. So, we talked about this at a executive session, but I know Jeremy wasn't here and didn't get a chance, and besides, we're in front of the public, so there has been some legislation that I believe has been introduced. I don't know where the status of this bill is at this point. Do you have any idea?
I haven't checked this week.
Okay. It wasn't in the most recent update. Pardon me.
The voucher and
I was gonna say, I believe it passed, it's in House Bill 1005.
Passed out of committee?
It passed, no,
Oh,
it's passed out of the House, it's in the Senate, it'll end up being in the budget bill, but
And
it's in the Senate right now.
it'll probably pass. However, what this actually does is this expands the voucher program for parents who choose to send their child to a charter school. And so it adds more money into the voucher program as well as establishing savings accounts for those students. And I think it's to the tune of 5,000, does anybody remember the 5,000 per student, something crazy like that?
It's over 5,000.
Yeah. And Indiana School Board Association highly opposes this bill. This takes money away from public education and provides it for families choosing. The issue that the legislature likes to stress is school choice. But as you see in this resolution, the Indiana School Board Association is asking for every school board in the state of Indiana to pass this resolution to show our opposition to the legislature and our continued support for public education. And we already have school choice in the form of families can choose where they want to send their kids. They can choose different public schools. You no longer have to be in a district. You can go to whatever school you want. We don't need to provide, the state doesn't need to provide more money at a time when public schools were hopefully getting through COVID. We've had so many changes, and this will be less money coming to public schools and more money coming to charter schools, which includes parochial schools. Keep in mind that charter schools don't have to accept every kid. They get to pick and choose. Public schools, we take all children, all needs, and so it's frustrating to continue. You know, we've been focusing on vouchers for a long time and opposing vouchers, and now they're expanding that and adding savings accounts for parents. So this has been circulating through ISBA for much of the winter, and we just are getting around to being able to adopt this resolution ourselves if we so move tonight.
I think another important point is the accountability piece.
Right.
It's not a level playing field with
No.
these charters versus us. And that's a big sticking point, I think, for public school educators and administrators. And the fact that Indiana's lost a lot of ground in funding. It started back with the previous governor, but we've lost a lot of ground over the last 12, 15 years. And it's impacting the number of people going into education. Our numbers and and I've shared this before with the board, is, you know, schools of education are down about 50%, maybe more than that now, I'm not for sure, but your big universities, Ball State, Indiana State, their numbers have dropped significantly. So we just don't have the number of people going into the field. So this is just a further drain on our funds and resources. That's very concerning.
If we adopt this resolution tonight, the Indiana School Board Association is collecting the names of every school corporation that does adopt this resolution, and then hoping to present a more united front when this gets before the Senate and gets put into the budget. I would like to think this will make a difference, but I don't think it will.
Many corporations have already adopted this
Yes.
resolution.
So, we will add our name to the list if that's what you all choose tonight. So, I want to open this up to a motion to adopt the resolution opposing the education savings account and voucher expansion program.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mark. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ann. Any discussion?
The accountability piece is huge.
It is.
This gives money to storefront schools. And those things have been fraught with so much fraud that's been so well publicized. It's amazing to me that the legislature doesn't do anything about that. There's some legitimate schools, obviously, but a lot of them, you look what happened around Daleville and in that area and in some of the other areas, where they have millions of dollars in money and don't graduate anybody, and we have to be held accountable for every dollar that we spend, and we're gonna get dinged if our graduation rate goes down. It's so completely unfair. It may do some good, it may not do some good, I don't know, but I think as public educators, we have to stand up and say, look, people, this is the reality. What you'd like it to be is not there. And give us a break, because we certainly haven't had one in the last 12 years.
Okay.
Soapbox.
Any further discussion?
You know, I'm glad that Indiana's not in a situation such as Illinois, California, you know, with the teachers' unions fighting against opening schools, because they have things, to me, the parochial schools, you know, the voucher programs have been a lifeline to some families in those areas, since the schools, public schools aren't open. But I'm so glad that we're not in that same situation. That's why I concur with this, you know, because it's not a fair playing field.
We do take all children and some of these.
Absolutely, yes.
And then there was the one virtual school that had, I don't know how many thousands of kids. And I don't know how many of those were actually participating in education. They were just enrolled, and the school got so much money as a result of the
They could verify, I saw that same article, it said less than 6% of the students that were enrolled in that actually had anything you could go to look evidentiary that they were participating on any kind of level at all that would have led them to finishing what they started. You know, it's like, and the lack of accountability is just.
Okay, I'd like to, so all those in favor signify by raising your hand. I always forget where you're opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Okay, discussion items. Discipline plans, bus conduct, and FCSC code of conduct, Ms. Corsaro.
It's hard to believe we're here already, like we just started the school year, but it is time to review our handbooks for the district. And so tonight, I'm just presenting them to you for discussion. Several of our building administrators are here if you have questions. There are not a lot of changes in any of the books. One consistent change that we made in all of the handbooks, as you know, our elementary shared common handbook, is we have added some language on the testing for THC with the vapes and all of the creative tools that they use. It is hard sometimes to determine whether or not it is THC or not. So the Career Center implemented a testing kit this year, and it's been a pretty good deterrent, at least we believe, for kids not bringing them to school. And so we're going to be consistent with all of our schools, and when we have those, then we would have the option to test them for THC. So you'll see that language as being a change in all of the books. Other than that, the elementary, they made a few changes just to some dress code language. As things change, certain things become popular, so we have to kind of change with the times. But other than that, elementary has very limited changes. CMS, they have changed, they've added some language on when to report a self-inflicted injury. Sometimes with our older kids, we see kids who do some self-harm behaviors. And with the addition of Meridian Services into our schools, we've worked with our school attorney on making sure that we have ourselves covered in terms of liability of who completes the assessment. Once the assessment's completed, what are the next steps? So we've changed that language to be in line with what our attorney felt was a better way of making sure that that procedure is in place. We also changed a few of the language areas in the discipline policies just to give building administrators a little bit more flexibility with students who might be repeat offenders in certain areas. So you'll see a change there as well in the CMS handbook. CHS, you will see that we updated with the implementation of the graduation pathways. We changed the language to make sure that our students and parents are aware of the new graduation requirements and how the pathways, it may or may not impact those students. The students of 2023 are the first ones, right? That's freshmen, the fresh 2023 freshmen? Sophomores, 2023. That's the first cohort that is actually, we can use the grad pathways for the juniors and seniors this year, but the actual class of 2023, we are required to use that information. So you'll see the changes in that. And then WCC, they also added some information on the grad pathways and some information on their dual credit. You currently are officially certified, right?
Yeah, we're an early college.
We're early college career center, so there's some information in there as well. So other than that, there aren't a lot of changes, but I will be coming back next month to ask for your approval of these books. If you have any questions from now until then, feel free to email me, or if you want to discuss anything with any of the administrators that are here, I think we have each level represented.
And
Not-
I just know that there's some calendars in here, so they need to be changed.
Yeah, once the calendar stops changing,
I think we're done.
we're gonna fix those dates, but we usually wait till all the calendars are finished before we work on page numbers and timelines and report cards and all of that. But once, we'll go back and fix that now that the calendar's been approved again.
Okay, thank you very much. Alrighty, public comments. Persons wishing to make the board aware of suggestions, ideas, and/or comments may address the board at this time. Comments which involve personnel or students must be discussed in private. Saying none. Report items, superintendents, discussion group reports. The only thing I wanted to bring up, and I don't know where to bring it up, so this seems good. I had sent out an email indicating that I had some interest, I didn't know if there was interest in others, maybe doing a virtual roundtable with Senator Rotz. I would mention our other two legislators, and we could invite them, but I will say that for two reasons. One, Senator Rotz is the head of the Education Committee in the Senate, so that's, he's good to have on, get his ear to hear anything we might want to say. He only represents a small part of Fayette County. However, he has been pretty responsive, I think, to Scott, and Scott's had a number of conversations with him, and I know Scott's had conversations with Senator Lysing, but Senator Rotz has, I think, actually been listening. He doesn't necessarily vote all the ways that I would like him to vote on education issues, but I think he's reasonable and he listens. I have emailed him, he's responded to me personally, which I can't say for the others. So I thought that it could serve a couple of purposes. One, we could maybe get an update and hear his position. I know that he does support the voucher expansion program and the savings accounts, which we could share our views with him, and at least he'd have some more information. And the other thing that I thought might be cool to do is give him a little, some examples of what we're doing in Fayette County. Tell him what's happening at the Career Center, that we've got the criminal justice program. When Senator Lysing came, I think one of the things that stood out to me was how little awareness she had about being a school with poverty. And there were a lot of, I think for her, there were some aha moments that she had not realized how much poverty and what our families experience and how our teachers provide so much more for our kids than what she may have thought of just instruction in front of the room, but they take care of our kids every day. And so I just wanted to toss that out there. I don't know if others are interested. It takes a lot of work to schedule something. But if there are any of you who are interested, I would begin to toss out some dates and times and try to get with Senator Rotz's assistant, so.
Leslie, he is also on Bill 1397 that cuts vocational funding.
So you might want to be present if we did a roundtable. Would you have interest?
Yeah, that's correct. I've emailed him with no response.
Really? Okay, great.
He's on that with Bob Painting.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
Some other individuals, so, and that's going to be, it would roughly affect 15 to 18% of our population in our building.
I'll have to look that up.
It's gonna really hit the high school hard too.
What percent did you say?
I would say 15 to 18, maybe 20. It's really 4 programs.
I'm gonna have to look that up. Okay.
Yeah, culinary arts, cosmetology, criminal justice, and graphic design, I believe.
I think we could, we could look at any option for this roundtable. We can't have a million people there, but I think, I felt like when we invited Senator Lysing, she got a little more than what she asked for. But I think everybody was respectful and did their best to be polite. I don't know that she felt that was how we received her. She was a little surprised at some of the comments, but that's what they're there for. They're our elected officials, so.
Yeah, and if you don't.
They need to hear it.
And if you don't like the heat, then don't run for office. It's not all going to be, everybody's going to agree with you.
So if everybody is okay with that, I will just start to do a little bit of work with his assistant to come up with possible dates and times for us to meet over the next month or so.
Okay.
Is that, and then we can extend it out to others who might be interested.
The one thing I'll add to that, Bill, this is a question, I know Scott was in a roundtable with Senator Rotz last week with some other area superintendents, I believe. The question is, if they don't fund those 4 programs, what are career centers going to do with those programs? And I will tell you this right now, we're going to support those programs. That's where if those kids are enrolling in those programs, they're obviously passionate about taking them. I mean, are we not going to offer criminal justice, which is a public service to every citizen in Indiana because they're not going to fund it? It's needed. Cosmetologists are needed. The culinary industry is one of the top 3 industries in the state of Indiana, whether people want to believe that or not. And just because it doesn't pay the wage that a machinist makes does not mean it doesn't have relevance, and that's something that is an argument that, our Directors Association is lobbying for as well, so.
There's always been a rhyme or reason with their funding decisions too, like education careers is one, they were cutting the funding for that.
It's back high level.
I know it is,
but now construction has dropped.
Yeah.
And there's 750,000 construction jobs gonna be available by 2030. So it does not make a lot of sense. The way the data is figured from the DWD does not make sense.
Thank you for sharing that. I wrote that down, I'm gonna look into that, and we'll get word out whenever we figure something out, so if that's okay, I'll look into that. Okay. All right, principal director reports.
As the numbers on COVID go down and we're blue this week, I don't know, Scott hasn't shared with us what the health department's going to rate us this week, but we're trying our best to get things back to normal. And one thing we haven't had is a pep rally for our kids for over a year. So Thursday, 6 o'clock, you're all invited to the bowl. Socially distance yourselves, wear your mask. We'll have the basketball team there. We'll have Evan, Quentin, Allison Hoffman, our gymnast who went to the regional, will be there. I've invited the bowling club, which is one of the top-ranked bowling teams in the state, to be there. They're still involved. For some reason, they're taking a month at a time to complete their tournament, and I think it's due to COVID. So we may even have some band students who recently competed and scored some goals there to just get some cheers and some love. The band plans on being there to play, Spartanettes, cheerleaders, and we're hoping to be in and out within an hour, so see you Thursday night at 6 o'clock at the bowl.
And I hear you're dancing down on the sport bowl floor too.
I will not be there. I have to go to Tri-High with the I-Star students and the teachers they nominate. So that's Thursday night.
That's where I would normally be as well, but they're not letting me go.
They are not allowing spouses of teachers. There's no meal this year, and it's just families and kids and teachers and short programs. Hopefully that will be different next year.
Thanks, Randy. Anybody else? Okay, Director of Operations report?
I will just quickly say you've got the fund report there, and as a longtime public educator, I want to thank you as a board for the resolution tonight. What we've put up with since 2006-ish somewhere. I would also encourage you, if you get a chance, read some articles the last couple weeks by Dr. Michael Hicks, an economist out of Ball State. Basically, everything that has happened over the last 15 years is harming not just the kids in Indiana, but it's harming the state of Indiana. And I want to thank you again for your support, and if you've got any questions on the fund report, I'll be more than happy to answer those, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Assistant Superintendent report? Staff Superintendent?
Of course, but I'll be brief. First, want to draw your attention to the newspaper today. Of course, we have our kids on the front page. I love the coverage our paper provides for our kids. Bree Carsey was on there, if you read the article. She's a nationally competitive,
Horse,
well, I don't know.
equestrian, horse person.
Yes, but
Equestrian.
I would last 2 seconds on a horse doing what she does. But also want to recognize our Lilly Scholar, Shayla Crawford, was with her work with the FFA, and then also our play that's coming up, our production this week in Harvey. So I think the tough part a little bit, I know Lynette Eklund and her team does a lot of work preparing, and it's made it hard for them. But this weekend, if you can get out and support the kiddos. So I wrote the times down and I left that paper on my desk, so I'm going to read the picture here just to make sure it's out there for the public. So show dates are March 12th and 13th at 7 p.m. and then March 14th at 3 p.m., which is Sunday. Don't forget daylight savings time. Time changes this weekend, and the price is $8 for adults, $5 for students. And with our size of our auditorium, you should wear masks, but we shouldn't have a problem socially distancing there with
And the
that.
play is hilarious.
I have not heard much
Harvey,
about it.
Harvey is a puka. He is a 7-foot-tall rabbit.
That's what I read today.
Yes, and it's a hilarious play, and the kids have worked so hard on it.
Yeah.
So it's worth the price of admission.
All right, for the good of the cause? Seeing none? Mr. Hunt?
I so moved that we adjourn.
And a second? This is how we adjourn. There's a long story
I think
behind
Jeremy will
this.
start taking that mantle.
No, Chris.
I think you own it right now.
And then Dennis, did
He
he
seconded it.
Okay, good.
All those in favor signify by raising your hand, close same sign.